Have you ever wondered why it might be better for elderly parents not to live with their children? In this video, we delve into the complexities of intergenerational living and explore the real-life stories that reveal why this arrangement often leads to more conflict than harmony. You'll hear about the emotional and practical challenges faced by families, like Sister Wong's heart-wrenching experience and Grandpa's poignant reflections on family support. Stay with us until the end to uncover essential insights that could reshape your understanding of family dynamics and ensure a more harmonious living situation for everyone involved. This is crucial viewing for anyone who wants to foster stronger family relationships and avoid the pitfalls of cohabitation with elderly parents. Before we begin, I would appreciate it if you like this video. You can help me continue to spread the old age lesson. If you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. If you like this video, please comment number 1. If you don't like it, comment number 0 to let me know so I can make a better video for you. Now let's get started. Today I want to delve into a crucial topic: why it is often better for elderly individuals not to live with their children. Contrary to popular belief, cohabitating with adult children may not always result in happiness for anyone involved. Decades ago, particularly during the 1950s and 1960s, due to housing shortages, it was quite common for elderly parents to live with their adult children. This arrangement was generally harmonious, and the intergenerational living setup was often seen as a way to strengthen family bonds. However, as time progressed, the dynamics of these living arrangements began to shift. Increasingly, conflicts arose, particularly between mothers-in-law and daughters-in-law or step-parents. What was once a mutually beneficial arrangement started to unravel, leading to strained relationships and, in some severe cases, outright quarrels and physical altercations. This situation may seem surprising given that, with advancements in living conditions in larger homes, one might expect such issues to be less prevalent. Yet, the opposite has been observed. Nowadays, elderly parents living with their children can sometimes lead to various unhappy scenarios. This paradox arises because elderly parents often do not want to interfere with their children's lives, and adult children, in turn, prefer to maintain their independence as couples. To illustrate this issue, consider the poignant story of Sister Wong. At 58 years old, Sister Wong faced a devastating stroke last year. Despite her significant health challenges, her son and daughter-in-law chose to abandon her in her hometown. Their actions were not just a physical separation, they also extended to emotional neglect. Shockingly, even though they abandoned Sister Wong, they still requested that her husband, Brotherly, come to the city to care for their child. This scenario left Sister Wong and Brotherly feeling utterly helpless and disheartened. This situation reflects a broader issue: the consequences of indulgence and lack of planning in family dynamics. Sister Wong and Brotherly's experience underscores the complex nature of familial relationships and the difficulties that can arise when elderly parents live with their adult children. It's a stark reminder that sometimes, despite the best intentions, living together may not be the best solution for maintaining harmony and ensuring the well-being of all family members. The La family tradition dictates that there is only one male heir per generation, a custom that has been observed meticulously throughout their history. From the moment their son was born, he has been showered with affection and indulgence, treated with the utmost reverence as if he were made of gold. This lavish attention continued as he grew up under the meticulous care and guidance of Sister Wong. When he came of age, he married a girl from a neighboring village, who had been introduced to him through formal arrangements. However, post-marriage, the dynamics shifted significantly. The son, once the pampered heir, now became a submissive husband, entirely under the influence of his wife. His behavior changed drastically. He has become so attuned to his wife's directives that he does not dare to contradict her in any matter. Nowadays, it is considered essential for maintaining family harmony that a husband aligns his actions completely with his wife's wishes. Soon after the son's marriage, the daughter-in-law voiced dissatisfaction with the size of their house. Despite living in a spacious 2-story home that spans over 200 square meters, which is more than adequate for Sister Wong, her husband, their son, and the daughter-in-law, the latter insisted on moving out. She complained that the house was cluttered and used this as a pretext to demand that Sister Wong and her husband vacate the premises. While Sister Wong had mentally prepared for the possibility of relocating, she was caught off guard by how swiftly the son and daughter-in-law demanded this change. Feeling helpless and unable to refuse their request, Sister Wong temporarily moved in with her mother-in-law and only relocated to the newly constructed house once it was completed. If you are still watching this video and finding these lessons useful, please comment number 1 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. However, just as Sister Wong and her husband were starting to settle into their new home and felt a sense of relief, new troubles emerged. The daughter-in-law continued to make demands, which were becoming increasingly burdensome. The couple soon welcomed a child, and in their quest to provide the best education for their child, the daughter-in-law insisted that Sister Wong purchase an apartment in the city. This request was not a minor one. Buying an apartment in the city would require hundreds of thousands of yuan, a sum that would deplete their life savings. The pressure to comply was immense, as the alternative was facing escalating arguments and even threats of divorce from the son and daughter-in-law. Helpless and disheartened, Sister Wong and her husband found themselves in a desperate situation. They had borrowed money from every conceivable source to purchase a city apartment for their son, hoping to secure a better future for him and his family. After the apartment was finally acquired, their son and his family moved into the new city residence. Yet their challenges were far from over. An unexpected and distressing situation arose: the issue of caring for their grandchild. The daughter-in-law, who had previously insisted on a separation due to the disarray in the family home, now demanded that Sister Wong relocate to the city to take on the responsibility of looking after the child. This new demand was particularly disheartening for Sister Wong, who had only recently found solace and a semblance of peace after the family split. Despite her initial reluctance and the emotional strain of leaving the tranquility of her rural life behind, Sister Wong and her husband felt compelled to comply with their son's needs. They packed their belongings and traveled from their rural home to the city, boarding a bus for the journey. In the beginning, Sister Wong tried to adjust to the urban environment, finding some comfort in cooking and tidying up the apartment. However, as time passed, the situation deteriorated. The daughter-in-law began to criticize Sister Wong's efforts, claiming that the cleaning was subpar and that her contributions were inadequate. This criticism, though not entirely unjustified, seemed to stem more from a personal vendetta than genuine dissatisfaction. Sister Wong's son, aware of his wife's deliberate troublemaking, was too intimidated to confront her. Instead, he began to echo her criticisms of his parents, further compounding Sister Wong's distress. Feeling deeply wronged, Sister Wong sought solace in private conversations with her husband, but there was little they could do to improve their situation. The final blow came when Sister Wong discovered that the local specialties she had lovingly brought from their rural home were given away by the daughter-in-law. When she confronted her about this, the daughter-in-law responded with anger, escalating into a heated argument and even resorting to physical violence. Devastated and seeking justice, Sister Wong turned to her son for support. Unfortunately, her son, paralyzed by fear of his wife's wrath, merely advised his mother to endure the mistreatment. This response left Sister Wong feeling abandoned and betrayed as she faced the unbearable reality of being mistreated in the very home she had sacrificed so much to support. Sister Wong reached a breaking point and decided to leave the city, returning to her rural home where she had once found solace. Yet her troubles were far from over. The daughter-in-law, dissatisfied with the situation, once again threatened divorce, which forced Sister Wong to abandon her peaceful retreat and go back to the city to care for her grandchild, all in a bid to preserve her son's marriage. Her years spent in the city were marked by constant grievances, primarily stemming from her strained relationship with her daughter-in-law. The conflict between them became a persistent source of distress. Eventually, Sister Wong's health took a toll when she was diagnosed with a stroke, prompting her to retreat once more to her rural home. The separation from her son provided her with much-needed mental relief, as the constant torment she had endured in the city came to an end. However, her illness meant that she now depended on her husband for care. The situation with her son, who caused no additional trouble, was viewed as a small blessing amid her struggles. Reflecting on her situation, it's apparent that had the daughter-in-law treated her in-laws with the same respect and care as she did her own parents, the family dynamics might have been different. But such reflections are speculative, and Sister Wong's circumstances seem to have been shaped by fate. From this experience, a significant lesson emerges: elderly parents may be better off not living with their children. There are several reasons for this. Firstly, the world changes rapidly, and the elderly often find themselves out of sync with modern lifestyles. Consider how your habits and preferences have evolved over the years. The food you ate as a young person, the way you dressed, your methods of transportation, and communication all have undergone substantial changes. For younger people, adapting to these shifts is relatively easy, but for the elderly, it can be an overwhelming challenge. Additionally, the relationship dynamics between stubborn mothers-in-law and unreasonable daughters-in-law are often fraught with tension. An old saying captures this well: you have a reason, I have a reason. Even the most impartial officials struggle to resolve such family disputes. The interactions between mothers-in-law and daughters-in-law can become particularly complex. Living together under one roof, sharing meals, and navigating daily life together can exacerbate these issues. Whether it's a stubborn mother-in-law and a gentle daughter-in-law, or a kind mother-in-law and an unreasonable daughter-in-law, the potential for conflict is significant. Given these intricate family dynamics, the likelihood of discord increases when elderly parents and their adult children share the same living space. The story of Grandpa F is a poignant reflection on the complexities of family relationships and expectations. Grandpa F, now 75 years old, shares his life experience with a mixture of nostalgia and regret. "I have 4 children, 3 sons, and a daughter," he begins. "In my younger days, having many children was considered a great blessing. I was highly respected in the village, especially because I had 3 sons. The respect I received was a point of pride, and I was never looked down upon. Everyone seemed to make way for me, recognizing my status. I was confident that in my old age I would be well cared for, as I had 4 children to support me. This assurance allowed me to face the future without worry." Grandpa recounts with a sense of accomplishment how he and his wife devoted their lives to providing the best for their children. "We worked tirelessly every day, always putting our children first and hoping that one day they would look after us in return. We sacrificed so much to ensure their happiness and success, believing that this was the right path." If you are still watching this video and finding these lessons useful, please comment number 2 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. As time passed, his 3 sons reached marriageable age. Grandpa F and his wife, however, found themselves facing significant financial strain. They had spent all their savings and even accumulated debt to support their sons' marriages. To repay the debt, I had to continue working long hours on construction sites. Despite the grueling work, I never complained, as I knew the burden of debt was my responsibility. It was a tough time, but I persevered for the sake of my family. When it came time for his daughter to marry, Grandpa made a decision that would later lead to complications. I chose not to give her any money for her marriage, believing that since she was leaving our home, it was unnecessary. Instead, I demanded a bride price of 500,000 yuan from her suitor. I gave this entire amount to my sons, not out of favoritism, but because I felt that after raising my daughter, I deserved some compensation. It seemed only fair to take some money for the effort and sacrifices I had made. Unfortunately, this decision led to unforeseen consequences. Because I took such a large bride price, my son-in-law treated me poorly. He rarely visited, and the relationship became strained. I had intended to secure my son's future, but the very action that I thought would be beneficial ended up causing rifts in my family. Grandpa's story highlights the delicate balance of family expectations, the impact of financial decisions on relationships, and the often unpredictable outcomes of well-intentioned actions. It serves as a reminder of the complex dynamics that can arise when managing family support and obligations. Back then, I never considered the possibility of relying on my daughter for support, assuming my sons would be there for me in my old age. I focused solely on treating them well, convinced that they would be the ones to take care of me in my later years. My wife fell ill and passed away, leaving me to face the inevitable decline of old age. As time went on, my health deteriorated, and I could no longer work. After years of overworking myself in my younger days, I retired, only to find myself in poor health, needing daily care. Initially, my 3 sons decided to take turns looking after me. I was filled with gratitude and happiness, hoping to find solace in their care. However, after spending a month with each son, I realized they were unreliable. The tension was exacerbated by the fact that my daughters-in-law did not like me, and I found myself unwilling to visit their homes, fearing mistreatment. Feeling increasingly helpless, I turned to my daughter's home, but my son-in-law was not pleased with my presence and did not treat me kindly. Despite my daughter's filial piety, the high bride price she had paid seemed to influence their treatment of me. The lack of welcome from one side made it impossible for me to feel at peace, so I decided to return to my rural home. Living in the countryside, I embraced a life of simplicity and self-reliance, choosing not to burden my sons or daughters with my care. My living conditions may be modest, but my mind is at peace. I have come to realize that elderly parents should not necessarily live with their children. We can't always meet our children's expectations. Some parents go to great lengths to satisfy their children, often without hesitation, buying whatever their children desire. However, this approach does not foster true filial piety in children. It is important to allow them to develop a sense of responsibility and care, rather than simply fulfilling their every wish. On the contrary, we mustn't always fulfill our children's desires immediately. Children need to learn that achieving their goals and satisfying their desires requires personal effort and hard work. Additionally, children must understand that patience and waiting are often necessary to obtain what they want. Not everything can be acquired simply by asking for it. When children grasp this concept, they will recognize the value of their achievements and develop a greater appreciation for the efforts and sacrifices made by their parents. Teaching children to be filial is essential. A filial child is more likely to grow into a responsible adult who understands and values the importance of caring for their parents in the future. If we continually provide everything they ask for without requiring any effort on their part, they risk becoming entitled and ungrateful. This would lead to the most heartbreaking outcome for parents, who would see their hard work and sacrifices go unappreciated. It is also important to treat all children fairly from a young age. When raising children, avoid spoiling them. Instead, instill values of gratitude, kindness, and filial piety. These values will not only benefit the children in their personal development, but will also ensure a more supportive and caring environment for the parents in their later years. As time passes, the relentless march of time becomes increasingly apparent, especially in old age when energy wanes and mistakes are more likely to occur. Ensuring that children grow up with the right values will lead to a more fulfilling and less worrisome old age for parents. Therefore, it is imperative to guide children toward understanding the importance of effort, patience, gratitude, and filial responsibility. One of the significant and concerning dilemmas faced by elderly individuals is whether they should trust their children enough to disclose the amount of their savings. This issue has garnered considerable attention and sparked extensive discussions online. After much debate, 2 primary schools of thought have emerged. One perspective advocates for parents sharing their financial details with their children, while the opposing view suggests that they should refrain from doing so. Opponents of transparency argue that elderly individuals are often forgetful and vulnerable to scams, and that having too much money in their possession might not be safe. On the other hand, those against sharing financial information worry that if children are aware of the savings, they might continuously ask for money. It's important to acknowledge that both viewpoints have valid points and reflect genuine concerns. Amidst these numerous opinions, the response of a 70-year-old woman particularly stood out to me for its harsh yet realistic perspective. This woman, Aunt Jan, is 70 years old and has a son and a daughter. Her older daughter is married and lives far away, while her younger son has been working in the city since he graduated from university. Aunt Jan's husband passed away a few years ago due to illness. Now retired, she lives alone in her hometown, relying on her pension. Although she experiences loneliness, she is capable of managing her affairs independently. If you are still watching this video and finding these lessons useful, please comment number 3 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. To ensure a comfortable and secure future for her children, Aunt Jan invested her entire life savings into their well-being. She generously provided her daughter with a dowry of over 100,000 yuan and used a significant portion of her savings to cover the down payment for a house in the city for her son. Despite her selfless acts, Aunt Jan did not show favoritism. She was fair and equitable in her support. She chose to deplete her savings entirely, leaving nothing for herself. One day, Aunt Jan experienced a sudden and troubling change in her health. Her normally agile legs had become stiff and unresponsive. Concerned, she went to the hospital for an initial checkup. The doctor suspected a blood clot and recommended further examination at a larger, more equipped hospital. Desperate for assistance, Aunt Jan reached out to her son, who lived in the city, hoping he could accompany her to the larger hospital and help with the medical expenses. To her dismay, her son informed her that he was on a business trip and was too busy to accompany her. Furthermore, he claimed he had no money available for medical and hospitalization costs. Feeling distressed, Aunt Jan then contacted her daughter, who lived in a distant city. Her daughter also expressed that she could not leave her own family to support her mother and only managed to send 1,000 yuan, suggesting that Aunt Jan should handle the hospital visit on her own. When Aunt Jan voiced her concern that the amount might not be sufficient, her daughter coldly replied, "Ask your brother for money. Didn't you give him all your savings?" Heartbroken, Aunt Jan hung up the phone. She had given her son significant financial support, including helping with his mortgage payments, only to find that he had squandered his earnings, never saved a penny, and showed no gratitude for her sacrifices. The reality of her children's responses to her plight left her feeling deeply disappointed and abandoned. She had generously purchased a car for her daughter as part of her dowry, but her daughter, rather than expressing gratitude, felt slighted. She accused her mother of favoritism, believing that the mother had allocated all the financial resources to her brother. Aunt Jan had sacrificed her financial security, giving all her savings to her children, but they showed little concern for her well-being, focusing solely on their interests. This situation illustrates how money can serve as a revealing test of relationships, often exposing the true nature of familial bonds. In some cases, financial support can render family ties seemingly worthless. The question arises, should we give all our savings to our children? There are differing opinions on this matter. Some argue that since children are our closest family members and are expected to support us in old age, it is appropriate to provide them with our savings. Others believe that giving away all our savings too early can leave us vulnerable and dependent, as it diminishes our financial independence and power. In a group chat discussion, Xiao Xiang shared a pertinent story. His neighbor, Mrs. Li, who had lost her husband early on, was left to raise a son and a daughter, both of whom worked in the city. Mrs. Li lived alone in the countryside. Although her children would visit occasionally, there were times when months would pass without seeing them due to their busy schedules. Last year, Mrs. Li began suffering from severe knee pain. The village doctor diagnosed her with a knee injury and severe arthritis, recommending hospital surgery. When she called her son for help, he was away on a business trip and advised her to contact her daughter. Her daughter did take her to the hospital, but also reproached her, saying, "You shouldn't have given all your money to my brother." This story underscores the complexities and potential drawbacks of allocating our savings entirely to our children. It highlights the potential for misunderstandings and lack of support when financial resources are unevenly distributed or when children feel entitled to more. Ultimately, these decisions reflect the nuanced realities of aging and family dynamics, where financial choices can have profound implications on relationships and personal security. Mrs. Li had accumulated substantial savings through her successful business ventures in her younger years. She had envisioned a comfortable and secure retirement, but her financial generosity to her family significantly altered her situation. To support her son and daughter-in-law, she invested a considerable portion of her savings into purchasing a house and a car for them. Additionally, she gave away her retirement savings to her daughter-in-law, hoping to endear herself to them and secure their support in her later years. Unfortunately, this gesture did not yield the gratitude or support she had anticipated. Her son often remarked, "Didn't you earn all that money from me during your surgery?" Meanwhile, her more attentive daughter stood by her side, while her son and daughter-in-law rarely visited, citing their busy schedules as the reason. Most of the expenses for Mrs. Lee's surgery were covered by her daughter. This situation underscores the notion that financial matters can strain family relationships, revealing that sometimes even deep family bonds are tested by money. Despite Mrs. Lee's selfless efforts, she found herself in a position of regret and dependency. Her experience, while possibly unique, highlights a broader truth: having adequate savings can provide a sense of security and confidence. For elderly individuals, financial stability often represents more than just comfort. It is a vital form of support that can significantly impact their quality of life and emotional well-being. 1. Family relationships. The presence of an elderly person in a household is often seen as a cherished asset, contributing to family harmony and serving as a source of wisdom and support. However, as societal values shift towards individual freedom and self-expression, tensions can arise between elderly family members and younger generations. Properly distributing savings among children can help maintain familial harmony and prevent disputes. Conversely, if the distribution is perceived as unfair, it can lead to conflicts and even legal battles, straining family relationships and causing lasting divisions. 2. Quality of life. For many elderly individuals, their savings are intended to enhance their quality of life in their later years. Fair distribution of these savings is crucial to ensure that they can live comfortably and enjoy their retirement. Achieving fairness in property distribution is challenging but essential. Adopting a modern approach that emphasizes equal treatment and consideration for all children can contribute to greater happiness and satisfaction for the elderly. By moving away from traditional biases and focusing on equitable solutions, elderly individuals can ensure a more balanced and fulfilling retirement experience. If you are still watching this video and finding these lessons useful, please comment number 4 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. 3. Medical care. While many elderly people benefit from retirement medical insurance, which alleviates concerns about medical expenses through high reimbursement rates, the distribution of their savings still impacts their care. In families with multiple children, there may be a sense of competition over who receives the savings and who is responsible for providing care. Ideally, caring for elderly parents should be seen as a collective responsibility shared among all children. This effective savings distribution can influence who will take on the role of caregiver when health issues arise. Ultimately, elderly parents require companionship and support during illness, and fostering a cooperative family environment is crucial for their well-being. The distribution of savings in old age presents a significant challenge for many elderly individuals. To manage this effectively and comfortably, older adults must adopt a thoughtful approach to how they allocate their resources. Here are some strategies and perspectives that can help navigate this complex issue. Adopting a modern perspective. Traditionally, the expectation has been that children will support their parents in their old age. However, societal changes and advancements have led to a shift in this perspective. Today, daughters, like sons, can be substantial sources of support, with many women's careers and statuses surpassing those of men. In families with only one child, relying on that child regardless of gender for support is both natural and practical. Balancing savings distribution. To ensure a comfortable and secure old age, elderly individuals need to distribute their savings in a balanced manner. One effective strategy is to keep a portion of their savings for personal use while allocating the remainder to their children. For instance, some elderly people choose to divide their savings equally, giving half to their children and reserving the other half for themselves. This approach allows them to enjoy their later years without feeling financially constrained while still providing support to their children. using a will to allocate savings. Savings can also be managed through a will, which allows elderly individuals to distribute their assets based on the level of care and support provided by each child. This method ensures that the distribution is aligned with their wishes and the actual contributions of their children. Avoiding perceived heartlessness. It is important to strike a balance between supporting children and retaining personal financial security. Withholding money from children when they need it can sometimes appear heartless, but it is essential to remember that parents should not be viewed solely as financial crutches. Children should be encouraged to strive for their success and independence. Fostering communication and understanding. Effective communication and understanding within the family are crucial in resolving issues related to savings distribution. In families with multiple children, a fair and balanced approach to distributing savings, taking into account individual circumstances and contributions, is often the best course of action. Ultimately, elderly individuals should approach the distribution of their savings with a blend of practicality and fairness, keeping in mind both their own needs and the support they wish to provide to their children. This balanced approach helps ensure a fulfilling and harmonious experience in their later years. Thank you for joining us in today's discussion on managing savings and family dynamics in our later years. We've explored some thought-provoking stories and insights about how savings and financial decisions can impact our relationships and quality of life as we age. We'd love to hear from you. What have you learned from this video? Please share one key takeaway and how you plan to apply it to your own life in the comments below. Your experiences and reflections might inspire others who are facing similar challenges. If you enjoyed this video, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like this. Your support helps us continue creating valuable and inspiring videos. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.